I came from being hungry and passionate about the music. And I would even say stuff like, I don't care about the money. I want to be a star.
Mm.
And it's like, okay, that's where you get taken because you don't understand what being a star entails.
The fact, the
We are now recording.
Right.
What's up? What's up? What's up, everyone? I'm here with the legendary, the one and only Moe Z MD. Woo woo!
What's up?
Man, Mo, thank you again so much for doing this. I'm just super excited. Mo is a freaking legend in the industry. And I mean, you've worked with so many people across the board from freaking Snoop Dogg, Tupac to just, I mean, the list literally goes on.
On
So
and
I just want to go ahead and jump all in right now. We are talking about the songwriting process from
on.
inspiration to hit song. And
Woo.
what better person than the hit maker himself, Mr. Moe Z. So first I want to ask you, Mo, can you tell us a little bit about your musical influences and how they kind of shaped your songwriting style? And then also kind of like what music means to you and how it impacted your life.
Okay. Well, I know when I was young, my mom told me when I was about 1 or 1.5, whenever I saw the picture of the Stax records where they had
Mm-hmm.
the snapping like that,
Uh-huh.
it would make me try to snap my fingers. So that music somehow impacted me from a soul standpoint, the way the music sounded, the way they put it together. It was when I got older and paid attention to lyrics from like Motown artists and artists like Prince and producers like Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, Babyface,
Hey.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
Luther Vandross,
Oh yeah.
and I started paying attention to how people put together these lyrics to make people go, oh, when they listen to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get that reaction. And I'm like, wow, these words mean a lot. And then I would notice other songs would be just little fluffy words to fill in space.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those songs weren't impactful, but they were cool. But it made me really want to study the songwriting process because I was a musician and I was a singer from young age. But how do you transpose that onto doing that professionally? And I
Right.
thought, you got to find a producer. Well, producers cost a lot of money. And I
Mm-hmm.
had the talent to play instruments. So I thought if I learned the technical things about that, I could, be a full kind of artist where I could write, produce, and engineer, my own songs. And it's a lot like you and your sister.
Yeah, right, right.
And so I had that vision young, just like you guys did. And
Mm,
I started studying it and how do I make these songs to where I'm not putting words to just fill in space, but
mm,
make the words impactful.
right,
And I drew from even gospel artists, Edwin
right,
Hawkins, Richard Smallwood, Keith Pringle, like Andre Crouch. There's so many that did songs that were impactful to your soul, you
mm-hmm.
know, and Al Green and how he, how he acts songs, and you listen to the words, you go, I see why he's doing it that way because it's impactful words and he's acting it out like an actor.
Mm-hmm.
So that shaped me into writing the way that I do.
Wow, that's excellent. I hear you talk about like gospel music and that being some of your inspiration. I know you kind of got started originally in the church, I think in Long Beach.
Yeah,
You already know my sister and I we got started in the church too. We was singing in
yeah,
the choir. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, you know, that inspiration, that spiritual inspiration, but then also the technicality, like church music and choir, all of that. The technicality is crazy,
yeah.
especially like as a singer, as a musician on the keys, like when you know when the preacher started getting up and catching the spirit, y'all gotta catch that beat, dun 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 dun, dun like out of nowhere. You know
Oh,
what I'm saying? That
yes.
that even adds on to the musicianship. So it's crazy. And I know like again, you got started off in the church and different things like that. So what was it kind of like touring the country, singing gospel with your family at such a young age?
That was incredible to be young like that and go around to different churches and feel their energy and 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 they're listening to, the songs that you created. Because
Right.
we did mostly original songs that my dad wrote. And I would
Wow.
and I
So it
would
was in
play.
your blood. It was in your blood. I didn't even know that.
My mom was a pianist and she played in church with her dad. And my dad
Wow.
played drum and trumpet, and he wrote poetry. So he would turn his poetry into songs.
Mm,
And that's how I did too. I started writing poetry because I would read his. And uh I was pretty good at doing poetry. But what really got me was watching TV and hearing like background music and how it
mm,
made the person feel, whether you felt scared or whether you felt in love or you happy, or I paid attention to that music, played a part in it too, as well as with the
mm.
gospel is a lot like that. Like you said, when the preacher starts preaching, you're doing the background music. You have to create that energy that he is doing. And
Right.
so all of that tied in together. Yeah.
That is so dope. Yeah, that is crazy just how you know, gospel has impacted you. You said TV and film, watching TV, hearing those musical cues and different things like that. I know you've done a lot of TV work in different aspects, and I definitely want to get to that because that is huge. And people really like need help with trying to get into sync. And how do you sit there and get your music played, or how do you compose different things for film and movies and stuff? And I know you have some experience with that too. But before we go into that, I want to talk about, because I know you've worked with Earth, Wind, and Fire too. Like that's crazy. The boogie, like that's
Yeah.
crazy. So how did your experience with Earth, Wind, and Fire influence your approach to music songwriting? Because I mean, just like I'm already knowing, I mean, you're a musical genius yourself without nobody's help. Like, man, I know that period from firsthand experience. But like, how is it kind of like being in the gathering of the whales and working with legends also like Earth, Wind, and Fire? How did that impact your music and your songwriting approach?
It greatly influenced it because when I was, let's go back 11 years before that, my
Mm,
dad gave me information by listening to September by Earth, Wind and Fire.
mm-hmm,
He clued me in on how to listen and separate music simply by saying to me, "You hear how that cowbell's doing?" And I was like, "Cowbell?" Because
mm.
I'm a kid. Like, what? And I started listening, and
You
then I'm
single it out.
singled it out. So he taught me to do that, and how, and that even helped me with placement when I'm mixing later on. But
Mm,
as I got older, like I said, and got into songwriting, listening to the songs that they wrote, they were deep, and
mm,
the songs that they had, you had to kind of decode it. There was nothing really said that was obvious,
mm.
maybe lines here and there, but they were very clever in that. And being able to be on stage with them while they're performing these songs and seeing the audience and how they're like, they're reacting to it because these
Right.
guys are by that time they're like the greats and about to retire and kind of stuff. And I'm this 21-year-old kid
Mm.
with an orange and blonde mohawk.
No way. I need some pictures. I need some B-roll footage.
I, those guys, because we were all in choir robes. And interesting enough, I was playing bass for the Edwin Hawkins Music and Arts Seminar choir, the LA chapter. And so my sister was singing in the choir. She was 14 at the time. And because they had a song called Touch the World to get, they asked our choir to sing the backgrounds and dress in the choir robes and everything. And I drove my sister to the concert and they said, we need altos. And I'm going,
That's me.
I sing alto.
Wow.
Yes. For high voice and put on that robe. And I mean, we did too much the first night and they gave us a little talking to, like, you guys, I know you're hyped up, but calm it down. But we did 5 nights. I only expected to do 1. But because we did so well vocally, they kept us on, and the energy was incredible. Incredible.
Okay. No. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm just saying this is a great example of stay ready. Okay, so you don't have to get ready.
That's it.
That's how crazy.
As we go on, you're gonna learn. My whole career was built on staying ready, so that when they said, "Hey," I go, "Oh yeah, I can do that." Watch.
Wow. That's crazy. So that wasn't even like a booked in gig. That was right place, right time, preparation meets opportunity. God is so good. That is so crazy. So so you said that majority of your career is staying ready so you don't have to get ready. What can you tell other artists so they can stay ready? What are some good tips for them to stay ready for the opportunity when it approaches?
I would say definitely you want to practice what your art is daily in some form, and you want to do at least a couple of hours of dedicated time to studying what it is that you do, whether you're a singer, writer, whatever it is. You spend time every day, and some people would do more, just depending on how hungry you are to do it. When I was living in California, I was super hungry, so from dawn to late at night was spent on creating music, writing songs, recording people, and getting that practice in for myself. You have to do that and dedicate that time. Don't put all your eggs in that basket as far as finances. Make sure your finances are taken care of a different way, because you will learn in the industry, finances is not something that is a plus. And we'll get into conversation about that with artists and producers alike. It's not plus. So you have to secure your money from a different way. And you make sure, though, that you stay on top of your game, because just should somebody come to town and say, "Hey, I need this," who can do that? If you are already sharp on that, you will have no problems jumping in. You won't be nervous. You will be prepared. And that's why I was never nervous. I was prepared for it. I did it every day.
Right. Wow. That's actually really deep, but I don't feel like a lot of people kind of realize that. When you're nervous, it's because you feel like you have a lack of preparation.
That's it.
That is so true, because I feel like there's some performances that I've had, I was nervous out of my mind, and I felt like, and it was because I knew I could have practiced more than what I did. Yes. You know what I'm saying? And in other performances, I wasn't nervous at all. I was like, "Oh, I'm ready." It's that hype. You were like, "Ooh, I feel it." Like, like just like a roaring lion just about to come out and attack. And that's because I felt prepared. I was like, I've over prepared for this. So,
and when I was young, I had, and I don't mean to cut you off. When I was young, there was this TV show called solid gold.
Mm-hmm.
And they were these different people on there, singers, actors, comedians, dancers. And this actress, Sharon Stone, made it from there. This singer, what was her name? Oh gosh, I can't think of it right now. I had an audition. They had a big line of people standing out there. I think I was 11 years old.
Wow.
And I found out about it like a week before. So I spent all week practicing one of Michael Jackson's songs called One Day in Your Life.
Mm-hmm.
And normally I can do this song no problem, but I practiced it so much my voice went out. I was insecure about some of the words. And we're standing in line at the Solid Gold audition. And I turned to my pop, let's go home. I can't do this.
Wow.
And I went home because I felt unprepared. But that showed me, after that happened, I said, I can't let this happen again.
Ever.
I got to be ready for whoever comes. Yeah.
Right. Wow. That's a deep story. Because it's like, in a sense, because you didn't feel prepared enough, you felt the need to kind of rush to prepare that whole week and lost your ability. But here's the thing, what a lot of people kind of miss out on, and this was very smart. I mean, I feel the fact that you kind of realized, okay, I'm not ready. I don't need to make a fool out of myself and mess up a future opportunities where I am ready. You know what I mean? From having a bad experience. So just being wise too. You're wise at a young age.
My dad always talked to me because he always, like, we moved from Mississippi to California to specifically make it in music. The goal. And I was 9 and my sister was 2. And he knew that at that age she could sing. So he would school us all the time. So I would make, really good decisions, some stupid, but a lot of good ones.
Right. No, that's dope.
Hey guys, it's your favorite singer-songwriter, Fya, and I'm going to be doing something super special for you guys this Christmas, okay? And for the holiday season, what I'm going to be doing is I'm giving away a $1,000 grant on New Year's Eve. Yes, you heard right. And all you have to do is some simple things, super simple things. Go over to my YouTube channel, like one of my videos, subscribe, join my mailing list, and I will be checking to see if you did, okay? Okay. So all you have to do is that, and then you'll be entered into a chance to win a $1,000 grant. I will be pulling live on my YouTube channel on New Year's Eve, so make sure you tune in. I'm super excited. This is going to be so fun. Happy holidays. Bye.
That's crazy. So from Earth, Wind, and Fire, and then that experience was literally just being ready. And so then I know how they influenced you in that aspect by being around like the greats and kind of, like you said, noticing how deep their lyrics are, and then also the their performance quality. Like I remember you saying their performance quality, because it's like it was crazy, this like the energy when you were performing. So I know that they motivated you. I know you have a couple of motivators, but I know specifically, not only working from you, but just knowing about your repertoire, it's like you are so multifaceted in a sense of like the different genres and different things that you like to go into and you work with. And I resonate with that. A lot of people don't realize the reason why I call myself Fya is because I feel like I'm multifaceted, and I feel like I could jump into different avenues and venues just like fire. It's multifaceted, it's all encompassing. Like, you know what I mean? It's not just one, it's free flowing. And so what kind of motivated you to incorporate rock, R&B, funk, blues, and reggae into like your rap tracks in the late 80s, and then just your music in general, like all of that? Like, what made you just jump into all those facets? Because you hear all the time, oh, stick with one thing, stick with one genre so people can know and recognize you from, but it's like that's like kind of capping you as a creative. So what motivated you to kind of go ahead and do that, and then also incorporate that into your rap tracks in the late 80s and different things like that?
I think it's how I grew up. I was born in Mississippi, so I listened to a lot of soul and a lot of gospel and a lot of rock because at that time especially they only allowed blacks a certain amount of time on the radio.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so I would so I would get to hear a lot of rock songs and stuff, and some I liked, some I didn't.
Mhm.
And time goes on, I go to California, and shortly, a couple of years after being there, now there's rap introduced to the music. There's, disco has come in and had its play. And now I'm starting to get into music. So
Mm.
I'm interested in rhythms and melodies, things that make like the songs and stuff, and dance to them. And so I'm interested in that and how things sound, but I'm also mixing the scoring of, like, say it's a love song.
Mm-hmm.
I'm scoring it. I'm not
Wow.
I'm not just playing the music, but now I'm trying to make you feel like this is a love song. Wow, I love, if it's a dance song, I'm putting things in that's gonna make you dance. But I still always had that gospel root to everything. And everybody tells me, even when I played with John Mellencamp, he would say, there's so much gospel in you. And I go,
Mm.
yeah, because, God is always the head of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always going to be in the music that I do, no matter what genre. But to me, music is music. You just exchanging instruments and you're doing rhythms. And as long as everybody understand what the rhythm is and the timing, I'm there. I can do that,
Right.
And that makes it easy to, switch genres and say, okay, now this is a rock song. So now you sing it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure it sounds that way because, throughout my career, I talked to engineers of all different types to know what they do to make the sounds that they make.
Right.
And so I apply it. And so oftentimes, like you said, I will add these elements in my hip hop that where it's like, wow, I didn't expect that. I got a song called My Shoes,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really rock, and it's off of this group in the 80s. I forgot their name right now. It's a song they had called Walking in My Shoes. And I just took the same formula that they used,
Mm-hmm.
and played some rock drums over it, but I rapped. And the energy is quite different than what you would expect from a hip hop song. And I'm not, it's not gangster rap or anything like that.
Right.
It's telling the story of my life and in music.
Right.
And so, yeah, it makes it interesting. But, that's what makes it that way, is because I have an understanding of both rhythms, melody, and what's incorporated in each genre of music by, listening.
That's dope. That's fabulous. It's crazy because I mean, like, I resonate with that. I feel the same way. That's why, like, I mean, you were on the project with us, and when Symphony and my sister and I are working on our EP, like, it's so many different things. That we had R&B, we had a little bit of jazz, we have like rock elements. And just like you said, it's because we understand rhythms. We grew up on that, and it's like we're not just, we didn't just grow up listening to one element. You know what I'm saying? And all of the elements have soul in them. You know what I mean? It all has soul.
I
And
remember
so,
and meeting you guys and the stuff that you had come up with. I was like, wow, you're
man,
14 and 11 and you're coming up with this stuff. It was very creative and precise. Like you guys knew exactly what you wanted.
oh, that just means the world hearing that coming from you, man, all the time.
I talk to people about that all the time. That impressed me because I knew that growing, when you guys get older, you guys were going to be way better at it because you have so much time, and you knew so much at that age.
Right. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Mo.
Absolutely.
That's like,
That's not,
oh my gosh.
that's not normal.
Man, God is good. I mean, God is good. Like, just like you said, God is always the head of our lives. And, our God is a creative God. He created the whole universe, everything. So, and he didn't just create the the trees. Like he created the trees, the animals, us in his own image. Like that's so creative. You know what I mean? And so
Yes.
like we have no other option but to be like him and create. You know what I'm saying? And be creative like that in
And
that
be great.
aspect. And be
Yes.
great.
Yes.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Mhm.
So, what I want to kind of drift into like another avenue. So, I know we were talking about kind of like what motivated you to kind of add all those inspirations into your rap tracks in like the late 80s. So, like sticking within kind of the world of hip hop, I want to ask you what was your initial reaction when you were approached to work with Tupac on his Me Against the World? And what was that like for you? Like, can you tell us the story behind that and like the creative process and everything?
Yes. And it was actually the Thug Life Volume 1 album. Um,
Okay.
Tupac was in Interscope Records one day and
Mm-hmm.
heard a record that I did by this artist named Radio, who's from Long Beach. Radio was the first artist signed to this Interscope Records
Mm-hmm.
when they were nothing but the California Grapes.
Wow.
Okay. And so he signed to them, I think it was like 91. And I had a friend who's my mentor, Keith Clark, which is your cousin's best bud. They did records together, PDO.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's how PDO was doing records. Like the first record, I think it might have been the first record he did. I was playing bass line on it, and Keith Clark was the producer.
Mm-hmm.
And he got me to go, oh my gosh, I want to be a producer. So I studied Keith Clark. And so anyway, Keith Clark was producing Radio, and I guess they were having problems. And so he hit me up and said, hey, do you want to work with Radio on Interscope? I'm like, yeah. And this was like 90, the end of 92, going into 93. And then I
Mm-hmm.
did record with him, and then they made us redo it because they wanted us to do it like a heavy D kind of pop record, and that's what we did. And then they wanted us to do it gangster. Well, actually, I'm jumping the gun. We did it gangster first, but because Snoop was signed Interscope by this time that I joined in, Snoop didn't want Radio to come out at the same time because they had Radio kind of taught him how to rap. Domino taught him how to rap, vibe. So we had to go back and redo it on some heavy D kind of is it good to poppy
I like it.
part. And we worked with one of the women from the Emotions that was part of Earth, Wind and Fire.
Mm-hmm.
And we worked with somebody else on there. I can't remember. It was so long ago. But we went back and did the gangster record again. And that's what Tupac heard. He was in John McClane's office, who was the A&R at the time for Tupac at Interscope. And he heard that record and was like, who is producing that? I need to hook
Wow.
up. And so they asked me to do a remix of Lord Knows, Running from the Police, and From the Cradle to the Grave. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And I did something very bad business-wise. I let Radio's manager handle the business part of it, and he flubbed it. So
Wow.
that ended up screwing me in the end. But I did these 3 remixes. They loved From the Cradle to the Grave because I changed the music completely and I changed the hook completely. And then I did the Running from the Police. They kind of liked it, but at the time Tupac started beefing with Biggie, and he wanted Biggie and Stretch off of the record. So that killed the record because
Wow.
Tupac and the Outlaws, at the time they was called Dramacidal. But that killed that record. And so that didn't really get to come out like that. And then the other one, Lord Knows, I mean, I did my remix to it. They had a guy, Tony Pizarro, that did a remix to it, and somebody else, but they mixed our remixes all together. After I did mine, they had my engineer go back to the studio and add elements of the others, just changed it all around. And I don't know, I had no say so on that record whatsoever, but it ended up being on the Me Against the World album. But Cradle to the Grave was on the Thug Life Volume 1. And it went from being a remix to on the album. And that should have meant changes in my contract to where I would get different money and different credit. It didn't happen that way. And so I ended up getting screwed on there. To this day, I don't get no publishing on it. And it's one of the most popular songs that I did, because it was a single.
That's crazy. And that's like stuff like that. When I hear about stuff like that, it be getting my blood boiling, because like people really take advantage of artists. And
Yes.
that's one of the reasons why my mom, like, because Symphony and I, you knew us since we were 14. Like,
Yes.
well, since I was 14 and my sister was like, I think maybe
11.
like no, I think younger than that. I think 9 or 10, because we're like 5 years apart.
Oh, y'all?
Yes.
Good Lord. I thought she was 11.
No, we do favor each other, and I've always had, thank God, a pretty young face. So, what'd you say?
She's taller than you now, ain't she?
Yeah, she is. She all hovering over me, child. But no, like even that, like,
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that my mom was kind of, I don't want to say ruthless, but ruthless when it came to contracts for us, because there's been plenty of times where people were like, oh, do it for the exposure, or do this because of that, or how about we want to use her voice, but we don't want to pay her type situation. And
That's
it's like, and my mom was like, no, it's not happening. We're not doing that. And like, what I want to ask you is like, from all those experiences and like, and what do you think would be kind of the best way for artists to protect themselves to where they don't have to go through something like that, or they're aware of that? Because a lot of times for people who are truly creative, you kind of have blinders on, in a sense, you know what I mean? You just like, I'm just passionate about the music. I just want to create good music. Like,
and that's where I come from. I came from being hungry and passionate about the music. And I would even say stuff like, I don't care about the money. I want to be a star. And it's like, okay, that's where you get taken, because you don't understand what being a star entails.